The hottest 100 Australian songs of all time vote and countdown on Triple J is nearing very close, and I've got another video here to give you about my predictions of what songs are going to reach the 100 and also my potential number 1 and top 10. So yes, I'm back making another video about the Triple J hottest 100 Australian songs of all time. I've really been enjoying the discussion about the potential countdown results online, especially on the Triple J subreddit. Lots of great discussion and awesome content about Australian music coming out there, and I just want to contribute to that. Now, I did make a prediction video about the hottest 100 Australian songs of all time a few months back, but it was before they actually announced that this countdown and vote was going to happen. So I made a few assumptions that I think we can kind of tweak a bit in this prediction video and get it a little bit more close to what I think might be accurate. So when it comes to predicting Triple J hottest 100 results, over the last 10 or so years, we've had a very reliable source called Warm Tuners helping us get a close look at what songs are going to come in where in the countdown. The Warm Tuners method basically uses a sample size data system where they would take screenshots on Instagram and other social media apps, collect all of them together, and essentially create like a 1% sample size of what people are voting for, which would give a somewhat accurate result. Now, if you followed Warm Tuners over the last 10 years, you would know how to kind of like read the results, and you would know how to tell like what songs were kind of coming in higher on Warm Tuners, but would probably be lower in the actual count, and vice versa. So I've followed the Warm Tuners over the last sort of 10 years and really enjoyed seeing them come in, and I could kind of see and predict what songs were going to come in where. But for this countdown, it's the first time in about 10 years that Warm Tuners is not doing their thing. I actually sent them a message on Instagram asking if they would do the count, and they just said that this time around they're not going to do it because these mid-year counts, they don't get enough data, and they just felt like it might be pointless for this one. So part of me was kind of disappointed not to get his results, but also another big part of me was like, you know what? This is actually going to be fun, going in blind for a change and seeing how close we can get to predicting the results. So I have a few things to kind of gauge off of where I think the votes will come in, and I'll kind of go through those now. Obviously, we've got past results from other hottest 100s, especially those novelty ones where they've gone through songs of the decade, songs of all time, songs of the past 20 years. Those results will kind of help dictate some songs that we know will come in high. We've also just got comments about what songs people are voting for on Instagram and Facebook posts and things like that, as well as the Triple J subreddit, what people are talking about there, what songs are getting upvoted and what songs are getting lots of likes next to them on their social media posts. People just sharing their votes as a picture as well. You kind of get a little bit of a vibe of what's out there. And probably the biggest one now that Warm Tuners is gone would be Sportsbet and what they're predicting the results to be and who is the shortest odds as a winner. So collating all this information together, from my calculations, I believe that the number 1 spot is basically down to a 4-horse race, and that's 4 artists with 5 songs. Firstly being Gotye with his song Somebody That I Used to Know. Secondly, Hilltop Hoods with their song The Nosebleed Section. Tame Impala with The Less I Know The Better. And of course Powderfinger with either My Happiness or These Days. Now, I would be really surprised if one of those 5 songs do not win this count. I think all 5 of them will probably make the top 10, or at least get very close to the top 10. Some other things that I've been picking up on, and it's just kind of like my vibe checking on social media, is that I think there will be a wider demographic of voters in this countdown as opposed to the last hottest 100 countdown of the year. I think that there will likely be a spread of age, more people around my age voting, I believe. I'm 31, so I think there's going to be a big kind of like 25 to 40-year-old people voting because they're big users of social media, especially like the Instagrams and Reddits. And I think there's been a lot of people in that demographic kind of like desert the yearly countdown vote, and they kind of want to get back into it with this hottest 100 Oz songs of all time. I think there will be an evening out of male and female voters this time. The last few yearly countdowns we've seen, there's actually been about 60% women voting, whereas this time I think we'll probably get more like 50-50, maybe even more men voting this time. I think in my original count, I was overestimating how many of these kind of like classic songs will be up there. I think there will still be a lot of those, don't get me wrong. I think the big kind of group and demographic that will dominate the count will be like 2000s nostalgia, and there's like a bunch of songs in that kind of demographic that haven't really necessarily been associated with Triple J, but I think will kind of filter into this count because that's kind of just where we are now as a society and in the music industry, and Triple J are also really kind of clinging on to that as well, this kind of like idea of nostalgia and memes and, you know, remembering these kind of weird sort of things of the past. And there's songs like Untouched by the Veronicas and Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie Minogue, which was seen to be as really corny and pop, you know, 20 years ago, but now it's like there's newfound appreciation for them, which is kind of weird. I think another big factor will again be TikTok trends. Now, I don't think it will be as big as the yearly counts, which were basically dictated by what was big on TikTok at the time, but I think you're going to have to factor that in, that there are a few songs which are kind of trending on TikTok right now that are Australian and I think will do well. That's songs like Walking on a Dream by Empire of the Sun, Thunderstruck by AC/DC, and Don't Dream It's Over by Crowded House. I am still expecting a good amount of classic Aussie songs to do well in this count because I just think logically that there's a lot of casual people voting, and you just think like when you go onto like one of these sort of countdown vote systems and you've got to be prompted as to remember Australian songs, people are just going to think like, oh, I've got 8 songs here and I need to put 2 more in. What's an Australian song? You know, Down Under by Men at Work, Long Way to the Top by AC/DC. People are just going to kind of float to those, and I think that they've got to be high in the count for that reason. I can't see, you know, Down Under not being close-ish to the top 10 or 20. So before I reveal what my prediction of the Hottest 100 is, I want to just talk specifically about a few songs and where I think they will place and my justification of that belief. So let's start off with one song that I really love, Covered in Chrome by Violent Soho. Now this is a quite recent song comparatively to all the others that might make the count, but I actually think that this one will come pretty close to the top 10, maybe even in the top 10, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's definitely in the top 20. There's a lot of love for this song, especially in my demographic, that kind of 25 to 35-year-old men, and I think this is the kind of song that they go for. It's their go-to in that demographic. The Less I Know the Better will surely be in the top 10, probably top 5. It's big on TikTok. It's big all around the music community in Australia. It went really well in the last decade count, so I can't see it really dropping far from at least 5. Somebody That I Used to Know by Gotye. It's got to be close to first. It could well come in first, but I don't know. There's probably one other song they think will pip it, but it definitely will be up there. My Happiness and These Days, the 2 Powderfinger songs, it's hard to split them and to see which one's actually going to come out on top, but I feel like I've been seeing a lot more love come through for My Happiness this time, which is surprising because usually these days comes out higher in Triple J counts, but I think they're probably both going to be close to the top 5, definitely in the top 10. And my tip for number 1 is actually going to be the Nosebleed Section by Hilltop Hoods. This was my prediction a few months ago when I first started talking about this countdown. I still think it's going to come in number 1, and it's for a few reasons. It has traditionally done really well in Triple J counts. It's been the highest placed Australian song in all time counts, and it's in a genre where it's clearly the best song of that genre. So it's like if you like hip hop, you're definitely voting for this song. Untouched by the Veronicas, I think is actually going to come in the top 10. Now that's really surprising for me to say that because I didn't even think about this song when I did that previous prediction count, but there's been a lot of love coming through online for this song. It just ticks the box for that kind of like nostalgia bait meme, and this is like the song, the go-to one for that, so I think it's probably going to come in around 10. Don't Dream It's Over by Crowded House has been getting a lot of love lately on TikTok, and it's a loved song for so many years for so many Australians, so I think it's going to probably be in the top 10. Cold Chisel's an interesting one here because I predict Kaysan to be up high in my last prediction, but there's been a lot of love coming through for Flame Trees actually, and I think Flame Trees might actually pip Kaysan on this countdown, so we'll have to see. But I think that both those two songs could well be in the top 20. In a Bloom by Rufus Du Sol, I think is going to be close to 10 or 20. I think Down Under by Men at Work is still going to be up really high. I still think that it might be in the top 10, even though there's less love than I initially thought for classic songs. Riptide is going to be up there. It's relevant, it's recent, a lot of people know that song. The Horses is kind of like an older generation memeified song. I think it's going to be high up there. People love that and that kind of nostalgia bait meme. Booster Seat by Spacey Jane could well be the most recent song put out that gets really high. I could see it getting in the top 20. Sweet Disposition by The Temper Trap, I think it's going to be really high. That song also has a lot of love for kind of my generation. Magnolia by Gang of Youths is kind of similar to that as well. That'll be up there high, as well as Never Be Like You by Flume. I'm not sure how many of his songs are going to make it, maybe 3, but I think Never Be Like You will be his highest. Now, Silverchair is an interesting one. I think at least 2 of the songs, probably 3 will get in, that being the 3 nominated, Tomorrow, Freak, and Straight Lines. Which one's going to come through highest? I think it'll be Tomorrow. I think Tomorrow will be close to the top 10, but I also think Straight Lines is going to be up there high too. Freak probably in the middle, sort of maybe 50s or 60s. Walking on a Dream I mentioned earlier by Empire of the Sun, I think it's going to be up high. I think it probably could be in the top 10. It's just that big right now on TikTok. Beds Are Burning by Midnight Oil, I think will probably be in the top 20-ish. It's clearly their biggest song, and it gets a lot of love still to this day. Now, G Flip's an interesting one with Worst Person Alive. I think that G could be competing with Spacey Jane for the most recent highest placing, but I could probably see this one coming in around 50 or 60. Can't Get You Out of My Head by Kylie Minogue is an interesting one. This one could come up really high, could go in the top 20, and that's something I didn't expect to say a few months back. Thunderstruck by AC/DC, I think it's going to be their highest placed song in this countdown. It's relevant on TikTok. It was on their nomination list, whereas Long Way to the Top was not included on the nomination list. Long Way to the Top is another discussion point. I think that could be the one song that wasn't on the nomination list that actually makes the countdown. I could see it getting in like 50, 60, 70 or something like that, because it's such an iconic Australian song. It's another one where people think, oh, what's an Aussie song? That one. And they'll put it in. Never Tear Us Apart by INXS will be the highest placed song. I think it's probably going top 20. And I think they could get another 1, maybe 2, maybe New Sensation will be in there. How to Make Gravy by Paul Kelly is an interesting one. This one could go top 10. I think it will be at least top 20. Scar by Missy Higgins, that's another interesting one. Could be in the top 20. I think it's going to be, one of the higher placing female fronted songs, and I'm expecting it to go up pretty high. You're the Voice by John Farnham has got to be up there. You know that one. Throw Your Arms Around Me is an interesting one, because this one has done really well on countdowns in the past, and it's often been like really close to number 1, if not number 1 sometimes in the big Triple J countdowns. I think time has passed on this one a little bit, and it's not as big as it used to be, but I think it's still surely going to be pushing top 10, top 20. Brother by Matt Corby, I think will be up there. I think it's relevant in that kind of demographic that I come from, as well as Australia Street by Sticky Fingers. I think that's clearly their biggest and most loved song. I think those two are probably going to be top 20-ish. Prisoner of Society by The Living End, I think will be close to top 10, top 20, surely. And the last one I want to just bring up here is Heart's a Mess by Gautier. Now, I think his other song, Somebody That I Used to Know, will clearly be his highest rated. Heart's a Mess has also done really well in these countdowns in the past. I think it hasn't had as much relevancy lately, so I think it'll probably still be top 20, top 30, but not as high as in the past. So after going through some discussion on it, here is my prediction of the top 100. Now, I must say, it was hard to kind of narrow down spots, but I wanted to kind of get my top 10 right and get it as close to what I think is accurate. And I kind of feel like I've given my justifications already, but hey, have a look at it, see what you think. Do you think that my top 10 is going to be close to correct, or do you completely disagree with some of those? The next 10 is also, I think you can kind of make some close judgments there, but once it hits about 30 to 100, you're really stabbing in the dark. Those songs could just kind of come in anywhere, but there surely will be some that I have missed, and we'll have to see when the countdown actually happens on July 26th, what actually comes in. I'm going to be really surprised by some of the songs getting in there, I reckon. And I'm just looking forward to seeing what happens. Like I was saying before, no warm tuners for this one. So we're all going in pretty blind. And yeah, it's going to be like the most exciting Triple J countdown that I've listened to in the last 10 years for sure. So thanks for checking out my video, everyone. If you want to comment about what you think is going to come in number 1 or your top 10, please do below. Let's get the discussion going. And hey, come back for more stuff about Australian music soon. I will definitely be making comments about the results of the countdown, so keep an eye and ear out for that, and I'll see you again soon. Thanks, bye.